how does that feel for you to be creating something to disrupt?
If I'm honest, there's a part of you that always feels a little bit like, I don't know what the word is, but there's people that come from the big boys. So we're targeting the lower to middle market. And then there's like, you know, very large transactions. And they kind of look at you and they're like, that's cool. That's cute. Like, you know, you're doing something that you need a lot of traction. And so our business model is really interesting because I used to work with a investment bank and they would charge upfront 6-figure fees for due diligence without anything on the back end to actually show that they can provide the capital. So I was sending them deal flow. They would charge the upfront fees. They weren't able to get the capital. So it was very weird to me because it was a billionaire that owned this investment bank. And I was like, why does he not care that he's taking all of this money from these people that generally need the capital for their businesses? That's people's livelihoods. And it was just like a fun game to him. And so what we do at DFX, if you're raising capital, it's $10 per month and it's nothing on the upside, which most people, if you're raising capital for someone, they're taking anywhere from 3 to 10% and they're charging you an upfront retainer. We charge the bank or the lender 1% on all debt transactions. But how we position ourselves is the social media of private capital, which means instead of thoughts and feelings and influences, it's constant deal flow from all around the world with the right strategic capital. But our go-to-market strategy is really interesting because we private label our platform for pre-established investment networks. So our first group that did our first private label, they had 300 family offices a part of their network. So it's just we have a very different business model than most people within this kind of like marketplace capital raising space.
And how did you come up with that model?
Yeah, so I didn't actually come up with it. Our founder and CEO, Jesse, that was his, you know, he built the entire platform himself. I came in about 4 months ago. And so the platform's only been live since March. But what I said to him was like, I know that I just believed in this so much because of my own experience in the space and the people that were getting ripped off and I also feel like for being a woman, this evens out the playing field because the capital provider reaches out to the opportunity, which means it's a very different energy exchange because they're not looking at who you are as a person necessarily. They're looking at the economics of your deal, which is very different to how people like normally go and raise capital. So it's offering anyone who's needing, whether it's debt or equity, the opportunity to take a bet on their deal.
And it's not necessarily what you're describing before, that you would go in person and pitch in front of a group of a certain audience.
We do that.
For the effects, right?
Yeah.
But the people who you have on the platform, your clients basically, who need the capital, they would also still do it with you then or with?
Yeah. So what we're seeing as DFX is a tool to be able to showcase your deal to people that maybe you will never be able to get in contact with. Example, a family office.
Yeah.
So for them, it's kind of giving you, it's very much giving you the optionality on different types of investors because we have accredited lenders, family offices. But if I reach out to you and I'm like, Reggie, I really want to invest in your podcast. Like, I love what you're doing. It's so different for you being like, hey, Ella, I need $100,000 for my podcast.
Yeah.
It's it's like putting the driver's seat to you, which I think is like, I've had people from my newsletter be like, hey, I really want to invest in DFX. That feeling is like, you're on top of the world.
Yeah. And I totally get now what you're saying about the change in the energy, right? Also, as someone looking for the capital, you feel less kind of begging, needy and whatever at times that you may feel like that, right? Or just hoping.
Exactly. And then a lot of these investors, they get all of this deal flow, but it's actually not their criteria. So now the investors can come on and search for what is their investment thesis, not being solicited by hundreds of thousands of decks that really maybe only 10% of them are even something that they would look at.